Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to speak a little bit about guilt, and the reason guilt is important is because when we experience guilt, or when we go into the vibration of guilt, it's one of the main ways where we actually disconnect to our direct connection to source and our higher self. So guilt is really an important thing to learn about and to really to strip it out from your being and your energy field and from your experience of life. So so I think a starting point is to go, okay, what is guilt? And guilt is really, we've done something and then we look at what we've done and we say, hey, that was a really bad thing to do. And that, we feel like if I've done this bad thing, that must mean that I'm a bad person. Now, feeling like you're a bad person, that feels really, really bad. It feels like there's no way out of this. It's a really soul-crushing experience to think that you are inherently bad because you've done something bad. So our mind desperately looks for a way out of that assessment, and it finds that way out through guilt. And there's definitely different institutions that help us out with that. And so what we do, how we bring guilt in, is we say, okay, I've done this bad thing, or this thing that I judge to be a bad thing, and I'm experiencing this possibility, or something that feels true to me, that I'm a bad person. That feels very terrible. Now, here's a way out. If a good person does a bad thing, they must feel really bad about it. So if I feel really bad about myself and really bad about that I've done this, that must prove that I am good. Because if I was bad, I would feel no remorse. I wouldn't feel bad about it. So if I just internally punish myself for this bad thing that I've done, which is guilt, then that will return back some of my goodness. But it's kind of like secondhand goodness now. It doesn't feel as good as before we did that thing. It kind of is a little bit bit sloppy now. It doesn't feel as great, but it's better. It feels way better than actually thinking that you're bad. So what do we do about this? Well, I think how to approach guilt, and you sometimes need to do a big reframe here. You need to realize that when you come into a body and have this experience on earth, now these external institutions and ways of thinking and maybe ways that you've even been raised, a lot of people get indoctrinated into thinking that there's a standard that you have to meet, and you have to meet that standard perfectly in every moment in order to be a good person. And some people even teach that that's what God expects of you, etc., etc., and that there's this standard that's been imposed, and that's absolutely not the case. Before you came into your body, before you came into embodiment, you knew that this world is going to be a challenge. It's going to be, it may be stressful. There's going to be situations where you won't know the right answer. There's situations where it's even impossible to know what the right answer is, given what you've experienced, what you've been exposed to. So this isn't a place where you're going to get it right. You're meant to come here fall over a few times. You're meant to come here and get really, really dirty, and then you're meant to learn through that, and then you're meant to let go of anything that you did that wasn't perfect, because you're supposed to come back into oneness with your true perfection of how you were created, right? So there is absolutely no expectation from spirit on you that you're not going to make mistakes or do things that you currently perceive as bad. Okay, so what do you do if you're able to accept that? Well, what do you do what's one simple way that you can get rid of guilt from your being? So the first thing to try, or there may be other complications, but a really basic thing is to say, okay, I've done this, and which I assess to be not a good thing, and I experience myself as bad, but actually, even though I've done this thing, I'm still good. If you can hold those two concepts in your mind, you will dissolve guilt. If you can hold them, it will almost be like a torch and it will burn away that energy of guilt. So you say, I've done this and I'm a good person, And when you first hold that in your mind, you might get different energies that are encoded in your mind. They might talk back at you, go, no, that's not true, but you just got to hold that. You got to hold, I've done this, but I am still a good person. You haven't fallen. You don't need to redeem yourself. You don't need to punish yourself to get back there. You said, I've done this, but I'm a good person. I am a good person. Okay? So give that a go. Let me know if you agree, disagree. If you have some other ideas, put them in the comments. Thank you.